everyone, welcome back to the channel as we review episode 3 of Atlanta, The Old Man in the Tree. So, let's talk. So, episode 3 of season 3 of Atlanta just aired on March 31st, 2022, The Old Man in the Tree, and it follows Darius, Alfred, Ern, and Van as they are traveling through Europe still. They're in London this time. They're going to a billionaire's house named Fernando, and when they get to this man's house, they are looking to get an investment from this man, but they get to his house and it is an old rundown brownstone in London. And it turns out that that is just the front. As you walk through this house, you'll find a high lavish London party of what I can only imagine to be what billionaires really do. They're recluses and they're all just hanging out together, living their billionaire life. And our four main characters are going to find out that there is some weird people living this lifestyle, dealing with influencers and artists and everything, because Ern's friend Will is here and he's managing a new artist himself. Basically, he's invested $500 million in this guy, even though Ern and Van can totally see that this guy is a fake. He's definitely not the artist that he claims to be, or at least that Will sees. Because Will has said that, his wife was the voice of reason, and now they're divorced. So, that happens. And the rest of the episode also finds that Darius is dealing with a possible racism issue that he had an interaction with a young lady at the party. And it basically somehow snowballs out of control from there for his character, making him even more uncomfortable as the party goes on. And then we also see Alfred as he's dealing with the billionaire owner of this house, Fernando, and this tree that he explains that he built this house around this old tree, one of the oldest in London, and basically then he takes him upstairs to play some poker and I guess try and win some money from him, him and all the other billionaires. He lays out his 20 grand to play poker with him, but again, his story stumbles out of control from there. And then we just following Ern and Will as they're talking about this artist. And then I felt like the fourth story and the last person we don't see much of, but they do really set up her story for other episodes going forward, and that is Van, played by Zazie Beetz. She's only in a few scenes, but there is some definitely noticeable interactions with her scenes. She's definitely upset with Ern. We don't know why, but you can see the aggression she pushes that girl in the pool, or in the post-credit scene where Ern calls her and she just ignores the call. So that is another strange interaction, but I guess it's setting up the plot for the rest of the season. This episode, we're going to talk spoilers going forward now. That is just the basic plot of this episode. But as far as all their individual stories and just how they spiral out of control, we're going to go forward talking about that right now. So you've been warned. But as far as things going in this episode and everything like that, Darius' story starts with an interaction with an Asian female at this party, and she just assumes that he's hitting on her, and it just, like an innocent kind of racist mistake turns into somebody overhearing this exchange that they had, even though they ended on friendly terms and kind of seemed to like each other. This guy overheard it, and he totally tells all his friends that, this girl's a racist. She just assumed that, because he was black, he was hitting on her, and they just, even one person says, oh, that's some 12 years of slave shit, and that, like, Darius is like, it doesn't have to be made a big deal. It's just a drop in the bucket for me. I mean, that's terrible that that's something that happens to him frequently. He gets accused of hitting on other people all the time, but that does happen. So, then they turn it into, like, they're trying to be ultra, ultra liberal, I guess, and in their association with him, like, basically using him as, like, oh, we take racism very seriously. But then as it progresses, that is actually Will's fiance, is the one who was the one who had this interaction with him, and they totally just berate her and put her down. And as an Asian woman, it is just, like, you say you care about one race, but you don't care about other races. So it's just like that caring is totally misguided. I don't know if the intentions seem good, but they're definitely not guided in the right direction. You have to learn to treat every race the same, and these people clearly don't know. And Darius picks up on this right away, what they're trying to do. They're basically just using him as a way to just lift themselves up, which is, unfortunately, that is something that does happen, and as we're showing in this show, everywhere. and then that's where that spirals out of control for him. He's totally uncomfortable, and then Will breaks up with this lady. He says the wedding's off and her mother could just stay in North Korea. Like, it's just horrible. Then at the end of the episode, when they're walking outside, Darius sees her crying on the curb, and Alfred says, no, that's not our problem. That poor girl just had her whole life flipped upside down for a little mistake that totally just ruined her whole life just because of these people, showing what billionaires really think. Because, I guess it's an attack on Hollywood and how Hollywood thinks, how they use, like, race and everything, even though they all are, at least, what we perceive. I'm sure not everybody is. I'm sure it's just the culture they put out that they are high and mighty, caring about social issues, but really they're billionaires and they don't really have a clue. And that's what I think this episode was focusing on as far as social issues go. And as well as, we see, like, an exchange between Alfred and Ern about, this artist that Will's managing is a fraud. And, he's just ripping off Will. And then, Alfred has a good point, Paperboy, that, black artists need to get ahead too. White people have been doing this forever. And, yeah, you shouldn't be scamming, but, black people gotta scam too, is basically what he says. And, white people have been doing it forever, so why not? And it took for Ern to see a picture of 3 white guys holding a big check, and in the background is a black guy, and, for him to understand, what, we've been put down for so long, why can't I do this too? And I think we've all had that mindset. If somebody else is getting away with something, why should I have to take a back seat when this has just been accepted for so long? And I completely understand that. And then we see him sign up Will's artist to be his manager. I guess that's going to help out his buddy Will, who seems to have clearly just no sense of business at all. And I don't know who would let him manage money. That's the equivalent of letting me manage somebody else's money. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And I don't understand what this freaking guy is doing. And, he's going to help him out and everything. And, okay, so his is a little more positive than what ends up happening with Alfred and Fernando, because Alfred wins 40 grand from Fernando, and then Fernando proceeds to get up from the table, walk into his other room, and lay down on the bed and pout, because I guess he just feels like he got embarrassed. Alfred does not take this well, as he goes outside and he starts cutting down that tree that man loves. And all he could do, this billionaire, is just stare at him. Pay up. You lost. And, so that's causing a big scene. So they all got to get out of there. Darius is uncomfortable. We run out the front door, and the guy's socks is in the front seat with Alfred's hat and everything. And now they're back to being uncomfortable again with this guy following them around. And as I said, then Van's in a restaurant, and she sees a call from Ern, and she ignores it, and that's how our episode ended. And I gotta be honest, this was a very good episode, but it's probably my 3rd favorite so far of the season. It's not a filler episode by any means. The social issues that are being picked up on this episode are great. I had a couple laugh out loud moments. Always Alfred, Paperboy, played by Brian Tyree Henry, is one of my favorite characters on TV, bar none. He makes me laugh. I think he's playing his character to perfection. Same thing with Keith Stanfield's Darius. He's awesome. I love him, and he's playing his character perfect. I do love Zazie Beetz. She took a back seat in this episode. I would have liked to see more of her, but I completely understand. And then, Donald Glover as Ern, another great, his story arc in this episode was very good, but he didn't have any laugh out loud moments for me, but he definitely was carrying the story and progressing it along very well. So I do think this is another solid episode of Atlanta as far as, 3 episodes into season 3. For the standard that Atlanta has set, this is another great episode of Atlanta. If you haven't checked it out yet and you just watched the spoiler review, don't worry about it. This episode's great. I've already watched it twice. Watch along with me, and we can talk about it in the comment section below, and we can have some chats about Atlanta. Maybe you guys like it. I don't know. And as always, guys, if you like this video and any other videos involving movies, technology, video games, or anything else, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends.